Hello to all of you viewers of The Pioneer. I hope you're all healthy and well. As the Pioneer team, we are back with a new report on the Russia-Ukraine war. In the Kharkiv region, the strategic importance of which has been emphasized many times, it is seen that the conflicts are getting more and more intense. The increasing intensity of the conflicts makes the harsh realities of war even more visible. The psychological effects of war on people stand out as one of the most tragic and striking aspects of this process. Psychological effects are among the factors that deeply affect the motivation of individuals and societies participating in the war. The morale and motivation of the Ukrainian army has been steadily increasing with the news of victories coming from the front. On the other hand, the morale of the Russian army has been on a downward trend day by day. One of the most obvious indicators of this decline is the steady increase in the number of Russian soldiers surrendering. More and more Russian soldiers are surrendering, showing that the war has become unsustainable for them. Let us now consider in detail the latest situation in the Kharkiv region. How are the developments in the conflict zone affecting the course of the war? We will look for answers for these questions. As the Pioneer team, we strive to convey to you the developments regarding the Russia-Ukraine war. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss our daily reports and explanations. I also read all the comments you leave on our videos. Please continue to share your ideas about our content. Tell us in the comments what content you would like to see on the Pioneer channel. And now let's start if you're ready. The Pioneer reports. 3 more soldiers from a Russian unit stationed west of Kharkiv have surrendered to the Ukrainian army. The surrender provides insight into the harsh conditions of the war and the psychological state of the soldiers. In their statements to the press, the surrendered soldiers described in detail the process of their surrender and the difficulties that preceded it. One of the soldiers described the intensity of the fighting, which lasted for 3 days, with bullets and mortar constantly flying through the air and explosions and sounds blending together. He likened these moments to rabbits jumping under bombs. The description illustrates how chaotic and frightening war is. At a moment when the fighting was relatively calm, he and his friends fell asleep only to be interrupted by the sound of an explosion. When the explosions stopped, he said the area was covered in dust and there were craters everywhere. As they tried to escape, they heard another explosion inside the trench where they had thrown themselves, after which they could hear the voices of Ukrainian soldiers. This was perhaps one of their most difficult moments. The Russian troops, having lost coordination due to the shelling, were scattered left and right, and these 3 soldiers were separated from their unit. Now the enemy was closing in on them, and they felt helpless. After waiting quietly in the trench for a while, Ukrainian soldiers stormed the trench where they were. Thinking that they were going to be executed or tortured, the Russian soldiers said that they even considered killing themselves. They put their rifles on single-shot mode and were ready to end their lives in case of captivity. However, during these tense moments, the soldiers, who did not dare to end their lives, could not hold back their tears and sobbed as they told their stories. Perhaps the most difficult moment for a soldier is the moment of surrender. However, if circumstances dictate surrender, it can be a life-saving option. The soldiers who surrendered are among us now, probably because they chose this option. The situation of Russian prisoners held by the Ukrainian 3rd Assault Brigade in a prison in western Ukraine is considered to be quite good. They are held in small cells and have easy access to basic necessities such as food, drink, and water. Statements made by several captured Russian soldiers show that the situation of the prisoners in Ukraine is not as the Russian side propagates. This increases the likelihood that other Russian soldiers will surrender when they learn that Russian soldiers captured in Ukraine are not being tortured or executed. Russian prisoners prefer to use pseudonyms in their interviews with the press. This is because they want to avoid potential problems in the event of a possible return to Russia. For this reason, It is very important that international procedures are followed scrupulously when it comes to sharing the data obtained. Captured soldiers describe their hard struggle in the trenches, but they are also determined to bring some truth to light. Ukraine aims to exchange its prisoners for Ukrainian soldiers captured by the Russians. In the process, a Ukrainian soldier sarcastically emphasizes that the Russian government does not care much about captured Russian soldiers. Since the beginning of the war, many prisoners of war have been exchanged. In the near future, it seems likely that these prisoners will also be exchanged. Interviews with captured soldiers also reveal important information about Russia's recruitment policies. Russian prisoners held by the Ukrainian 3rd Assault Brigade in a prison in western Ukraine are considered to be in good condition. Although they are held in small cells, they have easy access to basic necessities such as drink, food, and water. Statements made by several Russian servicemen make it clear that the situation of the prisoners in Ukraine is not what Russia is propagating. This makes it more likely that other Russian troops will surrender when they learn that Russian soldiers captured in Ukraine are not being tortured or executed. Russian prisoners prefer to use pseudonyms to conceal their identities in interviews with the press. This preference stems from a desire to avoid potential problems in the event of a possible return to Russia. This is why international procedures must be strictly adhered to, with great care when it comes to sharing the data obtained. As the captured soldiers recount their ordeal in the trenches, they are also determined to bring some truth to light. Ukraine aims to exchange its prisoners for Ukrainian soldiers held by Russia. In the process, a Ukrainian soldier sarcastically emphasizes that the Russian government does not care much for captured Russian soldiers. Since the beginning of the war, many prisoners of war have been exchanged. In the near future, it seems likely that these prisoners will also be exchanged. Interviews with captured soldiers also reveal important information about Russia's recruitment policies. Learning about the details of Russia's military policies, the difficulties experienced on the front line, and the treatment of prisoners is critical to understanding the course of the war and the strategies of the parties. What do you think? What are the successes and challenges of the Ukrainian resistance movement? How will its influence shape the future? What are your thoughts on the growing number of Russian soldiers surrendering? Can Russia's economic and military resources sustain a long-term war? Please let me know what you think in the comments section. Your comments are very important to me. I'll read them and will try to reply to them whenever possible.